Hey, what's up YouTube? Carson here. I'm Kris Krohn's executive director. I've been on the channel a couple times. Kris is really serious about goals. And this time of year, he gets really into New Year's resolutions. And he told me today that he was gonna have a little personal time to himself to set up his goals. And I said, hey, I'm gonna come bust in, bring a camera crew and kind of see how you do all of your goals. So come on, we're gonna go peek in on Kris Krohn. Kind of see how his Christmas was and be looking at his New Year's resolutions.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Carson's here! Here, hold the cat. All right.
Hi, Fritz. What the heck is this?
That's mine. That's my Christmas
No, it's
present.
not. It says Livia.
No. Dude,
Hey.
we gonna bust out some New Year's resolution.
It's that time of year.
language?
Everyone's thinking about goals right now.
Let's do it. Dude, there's no doubt I love goals, but I certainly have developed a strange approach, that's for sure. So happy New Year's, everybody.
Yeah. How was your Christmas, man?
Dude, Christmas was awesome.
Yeah?
Yep, it was great. It was magical. You know, it's weird. I love Christmas, and then I get so freaking fired up around New Year's.
This is like your holiday, huh?
Yeah, this holiday was like made for me.
So I've heard there's some people that get so frustrated because they're like, man, people only make goals this time of year and it doesn't last.
Yeah.
What gets you so excited about New Year's?
So the reality is I just feel like it's a holiday that I get to share with everyone for something I'm always doing. So I make goals every day, every week, every month. And ultimately, you've got to be checking in on your goals every single day. I've got a whole system for how I do that. But ultimately, all of my daily, weekly, monthly goals, quarterly goals, all are subscribed to my annual goals. So like my wife and I, we just did a review of last year, and we pulled out the document that had all the goals.
So your goals are real.
Yeah.
Like you write them down, you think about them, and at the end of the year, you check in and actually say, did I do it?
I hit 60% of my goals last year.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That's
60.
amazing.
There were some that made little progress. There were some that were almost there. There were some where we totally blew it out of the park. But I'd say that's pretty typical because I'll stretch myself. Like my goals are usually, they're hairy, they're aggressive, they like push. But
audacious is the word you use from stage, I believe.
Yeah,
You said
audacious.
Audacious goals.
Yeah, so what I want to do with you guys, you know, since you dropped in, is really kind of share with you like what my approach to goal setting is and how I do it. I believe it should be done a certain way, and it all stems from this idea first that we are all multi-dimensional human beings. I don't think it's possible to like put all your energy and focus into financial goals, and then all of a sudden, if you don't have relationship goals and you start struggling there, I can't tell you how many people I've met that have done so well, Carson, accelerating in money and finance, and then they lose their marriage to a divorce. And then it's like, wow, did you realize that you were gonna lose half of your assets? Like, was it worth it? And so a lot of us really, it's like, we'll work on one part of our life, but we'll not work on another. We won't see the connection between my health and my body and my fitness to success in business or my family. It's all connected. I think succeeding in one area and failing in another
Isn't really success.
it's not really a success. It's stupid is what it is. So when I do my goals, really like big picture, the first thing that I do is I think that all life fits into 4 major quadrants. And I remember like literally the day after I was financially free, I woke up, I went to my office in my last house, and it was this beautiful, you remember my last house, right?
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. And I remember
European style.
walking into my office, and I drew this image, and I said, there's ultimately 5 things that we need to be concerned with if we want to have the level of success that we're really hoping to in life. If you don't have balanced progress in all these areas, you're going to be a singular instead of a multi-dimensional human being. And so a lot of people create goals that start with this idea of finance, right? Like, what are my financial goals? And then we'll like, oh, I want to double my income
It's
this
because
year.
this is the stress point for most people. This is the thing that stops them from living the life.
But if it's not finance, then it's physical.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, I've got, you know, goals about my health and my fitness and my body and how it's doing there. Most people actually set goals to either lose weight, put on muscle, become fitter,
This time of year, yep.
you know, or financially it's just I want to make more money. But I feel like that really doesn't encapsulate everything that's really important. So the next thing I do that I'll make goals for my intellect, which is literally what are the things that I'm doing to improve my operating system. Like the best investment we can ever make is into ourselves. And most people, like the statistic is that after high school, the average adult will read 2 books.
Wait, their whole life?
Yes, after their highest level of education, they'll read 2 more books and they're done. So it's wild. It's like we think that our career training is what's most important, and then after that, we didn't learn to keep learning. And so everyone that I admire, that are my mentors, that are my coaches, they're always reading, right? Readers are leaders. So how do you stimulate your mind? Every year I'm going out to multiple full immersion events with coaches and mentors of mine. And it's like, what do you do to grow? By the way, books are great, events are great, but when you get one-on-one with a master, when you get one-on-one with someone that's dedicated their entire life to a way of thinking, and you can just suck all that knowledge out of their head, it's like the most accelerated way to grow this. The other key one though that I see people missing all the time, relationships. We've got a couple of kinds of relationships. You've got those that are really close to you, and then you have those that are strained and maybe not so close. And so when I do my resolutions, I always pause and I say, okay, who are my close relationships? And I've got you on the list. I've got a number of our other business leaders. I have my wife, my kids, and I make a plan. Like, how am I going to invest time or money into improving that relationship? Like with my wife, we play the unconditional love game. Every day we have a habit of asking each other, how can I love you today better than I loved you the day before? So every day there's an act of service that just says, I'm asking for it and then I'm delivering it, and I hope that you'll feel love from it. Relationships that aren't kept up die. They're like vines or flowers or plants. Like, they have to be fed, and if they're not nourished, they pass away.
So I love this quadrant, and it's probably the area that most people don't even set goals in, and yet at the end of our lives, it's all that matters, is our relationships.
This stuff melts away, you're gonna get old and fat, you know, your brain's gonna wither.
At Chapman University, one of my writing professors, Barry Blaustein, very successful career in Hollywood. He wrote Coming to America, he wrote The Nutty Professor, he's good friends with Eddie Murphy, they've worked on tons of stuff together, had some incredible successes. And one time, one of our classmates just straight up asked him, like, what are you most proud of? Like, what movie that you wrote are you most proud of? And he said, actually, the thing I'm most proud of is my 2 kids.
Yeah.
And the way they've turned out. And all of us were kind of like, whoa, like this Hollywood writer who's done some awesome stuff. And he's like, oh, that was fun. But really, the thing that matters are my relationships today.
And I think that's true for actually many of us. And it's amazing how the people we love the most, we tend to hurt the most. It actually, I don't know too many people that organically continue investing in a relationship. Relationships have this phase, right? It's like you have your honeymoon phase when you're building the relationship. It's a bell curve. And then you get on the backside and you're like, oh, I know you, I'm used to you. Somehow I've habituated myself to your presence. And then we just like, we care less, we're less sensitive, we're less caring. Yeah, coasting. Just like a bell curve. So these are the 4 things that I think create a multidimensional human being, but right there in the center, this is where I put my spiritual goals.
Oh, I love that.
So this is basically, this is human growth. So the needs of the spirit are growth, I believe spiritual growth, contribution, making a difference in the world. My wife and I, we wrote out our last year's goals. We had individually and together our financial goals, our physical goals, our relationship goals, our intellectual goals, our spiritual goals. We hit about 60% of them. So I'm actually doing 2 things right now. The ones that I didn't hit, I'm actually asking why, because I don't actually want to repeat them.
So they're goals that maybe were important to you at the beginning of 2019, but by the end of the year.
No, some of them are actually still important, but somehow I didn't get around to it. So I'm actually trying to figure out, like, why did I ignore that? Why did I put less attention there? Why did I deprioritize that? And sometimes when we don't get a goal, we're like, oh, well, let's just keep it on the list again for the next year. It's like, no, dude, you got to find a way to freshen it up. And ultimately, for my goals, with the ones that are really important, I put consequences.
This is why you get your goals.
You have to find a way to take something that you want and you have to turn it into a need. And people don't get that. We don't get what we want. We get what we need.
We get what we'll put up with.
Yeah, so it's like the most common one that I think works for most people is most people know how to not default on a rent payment or a house payment. Even if they're financially stressed, they're still going to make their rent or their house payment.
Yeah, because it's the roof over your head, it's where your family is.
Yeah, but they say, uh-oh, my spouse and I were having twins and our house doesn't fit anymore, so we want a bigger house with 2 more bedrooms. Well, you might want that. But if you can't find a way to turn that into a need or a have to or a must, you'll probably just stay more or less where you're at. So we get the things that we want. So what I do is I like to put consequences. Like right now for the month of January, I'm in a cutting contest with a buddy of mine. We just spent the last 90 days, I put on, I think, 12 pounds of muscle, about 5 pounds of fat, and now we're in this extreme cut. And right down the street, I have our pool. 3 of the pools are heated, but 1 of them is freezing. And so I said, hey, every day for 30 days, we have to send accountability every day by 10 a.m. the next morning, exactly what we ate logged in this one app so that we can see everything. And I said, if you miss it, then you've got a cold plunge. Worse though, if for every 100 extra calories you've eaten that you're not supposed to, is 20 extra seconds in the pool. So you want to splurge for 1,000 calories? That's
great.
2.5 minutes. And this is not a normal like plunge pool like 57 degrees. This is like 38. It's frigid. Ouch. Right? No, neither of us wants to do that, but guess what? We're meeting our goals, right? So sometimes I leverage pain. Sometimes I leverage benefit, like I'll get this reward. Like there's a place for fear and there's a place for reward. I leverage both of them. It just depends on what do I really honestly think it'll take to motivate the action. But I will say this, here's the one thing that I think people do insanely wrong with goals, Carson. I think there's danger to setting a goal that you're not committed to. Because what you're doing is you're habituating
That your goals don't matter.
that I can set a goal and not reach it. And most of us will internalize that as failure. And if you become comfortable, if you develop a relationship with failure that says it's okay for me to fail again and again and again, you will lose integrity with yourself and with your self-belief. And once you don't have that integrity, then what you say doesn't matter anymore, because whatever you do and you say, you're just used to not getting the result. So when I say that I only got about 60% of my goals, I'm seriously looking at the ones that I didn't. I'm saying, all right, I'm celebrating the ones that I got, and I'm also celebrating the lessons on the ones that I didn't quite get. Because I'm always asking, if I didn't get the goal, then I should get a lesson. I'm gonna get paid in results or lessons. And as long as I do that, I'm moving forward in the right way. Being super careful not to set too many goals that I'm like, well.
Okay, so that's great. I was about to ask you about numbers. What is too many goals?
I've habituated myself to doing this goal thing for a lot of years. So I generally have between 3 and 5 goals per category. So I'll have for the whole year, I'll have usually 15 to 20 goals that I'm working on. And then last year, I think I got 10 of them, like nailed it.
So then, can you also speak to specificity? Like, how specific are these goals? Because I know people that set goals like, I want to be happier this year. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
not a
how
goal.
do you? That's not.
That's a wish. So dreams and wishes don't come true. It has to be actionable and it has to be measurable. So if you don't know the exact moment you achieve it, then it's not really a goal in my book. Every one of these is hyper specific. There's a number component to every one of these.
Can you give us some examples of some of your goals?
Yeah,
for the
like
coming year?
yeah. So like
And YouTube, they can hold you accountable to this.
Boom, you can hold me accountable.
2021. Let's roll back this video and see.
Okay, so for example, for intellect, I might say I'm going to read a book every single month. So I'm going to do 12 books this next year. I'm going to select books on areas that interest me and that I want to grow in and that I want to develop superior knowledge in.
Right.
That's measurable. And it's not just 12 a year, it's 1 a month.
1 a month.
February 1st, I know, am I on track? Like,
Right,
I'm
instantly.
halfway through the book and now it's February 1st. Guess what? I'm not on track. I need to fix something. I need to address something. I maybe need to shift the book to audiobook and use it when I'm driving somewhere. I need to address my schedule. So I'll frequently check in and just critically ask. And for me, check-in is a daily. Like, this is the power of the number 1. 1 separates possible from impossible. If you can go an entire day and not think about your goal, then you can go an entire week and not think about it. You can go an entire month and you can go a year.
So how often do you check in on these?
Every
Daily?
day.
Every day.
Yeah. The things that are important have to have
Attention.
daily attention. If they don't have daily attention, then they are wants and desires and dreams and wishes, but they're not goals.
Well, awesome. It's the start of a new year. I'm actually excited to implement a lot of these things. I think I'd like to sit down with my wife as well and set some goals in each category and check in on them regularly.
Dude, and post them somewhere. Like my wife and I, we keep it on a mirror in our closet, and that every day, and
You see it every day.
It becomes
That's
a talking
awesome.
point.
Awesome. And then consequences. That was scary.
Just for,
No, it's good.
just take 2 or 3 of them at a time, and then just like, dude, make it super nasty if you don't, make it super awesome if you do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for letting us crash in on you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's there's a lot of people that are going to gain a lot of value from seeing how you do this and
Yeah,
taking
guys.
these pointers.
Appreciate you.
I know a lot of people set goals and then forget about them, so hopefully they can hold to it. But then there are those that really want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Any advice for those that are like, I'm ready to create some real goals and crush it?
Yeah, so if you're watching this channel, you might be loving what I teach about finance or real estate or wealth, but the reality is any great achievement always has a strong psychology behind it. This is actually a small component of the psychology training. Couple of gifts for you. There's a link below for getting my Limitless book for free. I was named best-selling author on that book. We've moved a lot of copies. That book has been life-changing for a ton of people. It's all about how you break through your limitations. There is a goals section in there, so this is a small part of a much bigger combo. But you can have that book for free. We'll ship it out to you. We just ask that you cover the shipping, so there's a link for that. But I think the bigger one, honestly, is if you've been watching the channel for a while and if you're liking this conversation, you have got to come join me at my event center at one of my 4-day events. We put them on regularly every quarter.
But our January one is...
Yeah, so there's a link below. Check it out. My goal by the end of day 1 of the 4 days is to have the entire room honestly and authentically saying, this was life-changing. My life will never be the same again. And I'm proud to say that we hit that. We're pretty dang close to 100% every event on that. The 4 days is just nuts. If now's the time where you're like, oh my gosh, I do not want this next year to repeat last year. I want it to be bigger. Well, goal session is the start of that. Getting the right psychology is the next part of that. You come out to that 4-day event, you're gonna walk away with a millionaire's psychology. You're gonna walk away with an unconquerable spirit and the ability to just produce the results that you want in your life. So check that out as well.